All right. As soon as she gets up there, I want to make sure that we can see her. Hi, everybody. That's perfect. She's perfect right where she is. And then I'll come stand next to Mr. Rusty's Forge.
Welcome to Spooky Speckle 2024. I'm your panel host again for the 5th year, Tony the Tiger Myers. First off, how many of you have ever been to Spooky Speckle before? Show of hands? Show of hands? Okay, everybody up here.
Here we are.
How many of you have ever been to a Comicon or any horror cons or special events like that? Okay, just us.
Yeah.
Well, you're in for a treat because today's panel guests are ones who frequent Comicons, big events. So, without further ado, we welcome Lil Scream Queen cosplay, Rusty's Forge, and Jen from Weirdo Weddings. This is the survival guide to cons and events.
Now it sounds scarier than it really is, but I thank you, Tony, again for a wonderful intro.
Always look forward to it.
Thank you, Sidney, for joining us
Sydney!
today. Thank you,
Go,
Rusty's
Sidney.
Forge.
You got the Lil Scream Queen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad
So, this is going to be a very fun just conversation. We're going to show you all some tips, and for those who've never been to cons or conventions, know that it takes a lot of work to show up to these things for those of us who want to dress, or those of us who want to be a vendor. We know how much work that takes. She's so cute. We have our Lil Scream Queen today, so we're gonna just run through some things here, and we also want to take questions from you, feedback from you, comments from you if you're into events like this, Comicons of all kinds. We just had such a great time last year, and we had all these great tips about surviving cons, so I thought it would be perfect. So obviously you've already done a great intro, but Sidney, if you want to turn around, you can see yourself on the
Uh-oh,
screen.
look. There's all of them.
There you are.
So we have me, Rusty's Forge, and Lil Scream Queen. And I love that photo because I was like, she's killing it, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
And so, and I tend to be Weird Barbie every once in a while. I am Beetlejuice Weird Barbie today, so I kind of like accidentally
I like it.
went thrift shopping. So, but the universal tips, like we've talked about.
Oh yeah, this was actually something I went over. So this is universal. It doesn't matter if you're vendor or attendee. Good shoes. Don't do bad shoes.
How are your shoes, Sidney?
Not
Are they comfortable?
No, there's no way, Jose.
And look, even experts make this mistake of like, have shoes you can walk in. I really can't emphasize that enough, because, and I know this because I've been that person who decided flip-flop was a good idea after walking for 8 hours. Yeah, I was that way when I realized my mistake, but I was also dying on the inside.
Yeah.
This is actually way too accurate. They're more accurate than I like comfortable with. Anyway, yeah, that is just pretty good shoes. I'm wearing Doc Martens. They're pretty darn good. Personally, that's my endorsement of that product. I think they're good at what they are. They're good at what they are.
Yeah.
They're not bad because that they actually
And I
are.
was gonna say, if you like Sydney does, I'm sure Sydney does like a whole bunch of character swaps,
Definitely.
and I imagine that she's got to like switch out shoes all the time.
Oh,
Sydney, is there a tip that you have for shoes for us? Like,
What's
what do
your
you think
favorite
about
shoes?
for your outfits? Do you have to change them all the time, or do you try to have a universal shoe? Yeah, you do.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
she changes them all the time.
All
You
the
have so
time.
many cosplays. that
Every
you do.
costume.
Right?
Yeah,
So, and I love that the fact, and I'll read the second one. I always forget this, like even here today, I forgot,
Yeah, I
almost
didn't.
forgot water.
Excuse me, put this aside.
So,
I have to.
water is very important,
So that's-
depending on the
I have a
con.
question on like, is it okay to bring in your own water?
And that's another thing too,
Yeah.
is you have to, whichever event you go to and whichever con, you have to see what the rules and regulations are. Like for us vending, we're like, we need a water fountain.
Yeah.
We need our own water bottles and.
I can say most of them will let you bring your water and will help you provide water because, especially the bigger ones, because dehydrated attendees and vendors, those will look good. I mean, I've been to some bigger ones where they've had EMTs on site.
Yeah.
Because if you do something like a lot of people are doing this.
Oh yeah, they
What I'm
do.
doing,
Yeah.
they do it to the extreme, like even
I was
more
gonna
hardcore
say-
than this.
And I'm at the Ren Fair a lot, so the Ren Fairs have multiple layers of costumes.
They've
that
gotta have.
April and May, you're like,
Yeah,
drink the water.
I only know that EMTs are on site for these things because I once worked Cow Patrol Day at Comicon a few years ago, and they're very behind the scenes. You don't really know you learn that they're there, and the fun thing is some of these people actually decide to dress up too. But they also have their EMT gear that camouflage. Yes, sir?
Oh, no, I'm waving at my granddaughter. Keeping her engaged.
We had,
Yay.
one of the EMTs I've worked with, was cosplaying as someone from one of the Resident Evil Umbrella Corporation operatives, and they had first year gear on them. It was built into their costumes. You didn't realize they were an EMT.
Yeah.
Right away. It was
Yeah,
kind
so
of
it's
amazing.
always important to have some kind of water. And now the next question, Sydney, I have a big question for you. Do you have a favorite snack? Tell me what it is. I want to know.
What is it?
Pretzels! You heard it here,
Hearts.
folks. Pretzels. And so what we're talking about, Sydney, as a young cosplayer,
Like pretzels.
you know how good it is to have snacks, right? You get hungry all day
Need
long.
snacks.
We practiced this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I let her into bring some snacks if you can. Sometimes
Yeah,
the
what-
rules and regulations,
Yeah,
and of course if you're Sydney's age, nobody's gonna really care. They're like, feed the
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
When you're adults,
Yeah,
not so
we
much.
forget to
No,
snack.
eat the dirty
And what I find interesting is that, again, rules and regulations at each con are different, and sometimes they say you can't bring in food, but you can totally bring in snacks, like prepackaged snacks.
Right.
So you can kind of survive if you're committed to an all-day con. Like I know, Sidney, you were very committed at Frightmare.
Mhm.
So did you have snacks all day? Did you have all those pretzels all day long? Yeah, was it good? Kept you not
Yeah.
hangry?
Yeah, you don't want to be hangry in
No.
costume.
Hangry? I was hangry last night.
Yeah.
Yes,
made
I don't
that-
wanna be that
My
way
table.
around
We
celebrities.
definitely made that mistake.
Yes, yes, and so as I was saying, just bringing in your food, if it is allowed and applicable. Don't always be that person that breaks all the rules, because then they just make the rules worse for us sometimes.
That is
You
very
know,
true.
you know how it
There
is,
is.
like the movie theater thing, right? Some people will still take in snacks to the movie theater.
I'm guilty.
Rusty put this one on here. I thought this was a good tip about
Well,
hotels and accommodations.
Well, I know because I've had to make adjustments at times. Like your accommodations do sometimes fail. Like I'll be honest, I've made reservations for hotel rooms. Especially doing with a group, make sure everyone knows the right dates. I know this could have happened for one of my arrangements once, and it did change the cost distribution of how much we pay for our hotel room when some people got the wrong dates and got the wrong days off.
Yeah.
So bear that in mind.
And especially if it's a big con and all the hotels near it sell
Yeah.
out.
Like for this convention, I didn't go to a hotel room. I'm staying at my parents' house because it's like 30 minutes away. And it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can do one
you
of those,
can
that's
stay
great.
with a friend, that's great.
You can
Just
stay for free, 'cause
Make
that's-
sure you get the dates right, because I had something happen where my assistant did not get the dates right, and guess who did not get to assist me at my table? So it was one of those things that you're sad, but you're like, you have to keep going, you know?
Yeah, like I said, and whether it's a hotel room, your friend's house, if you're doing a campground, at a fair, get that in early on. I think for AnimeCon or ACON, that's around June. I got my hotel room for that in October when I did it. That's how far in advance I went, because you don't want to be putting that out.
Yeah, so that's a really great, we call these universal tips because this is good for anybody attending or vending. And
Yeah.
especially if you're a vendor, pad your timeline a little bit, maybe stay an extra night to get some extra rest.
Yes, yes, do that.
I don't know about Sidney, but I like sleep.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite hotel that you stay at occasionally? Do you use the pools? Do you do anything fun when you're there with your family?
Mom and dad make her drive back and forth every time. Yeah.
Luckily, we live so close
Our
to
hotel,
Yes.
our hotel's the backseat.
So you're not a world traveler just yet?
No, we got a cruise coming up next year. So.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
you'll
so.
learn how to do that pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, so, that'll be super exciting for
Yeah,
them.
we're trying to-
Oh, yeah, she also does GeekCon in Louisiana
Yeah.
too. So
Ooh.
she,
That's a fun one if you never
Yeah.
done.
Haven't
It's a
been.
good one.
Haven't
I can,
been. That's
go to your
amazing.
booth. Yeah, have her do this for paranormal.
Okay, so this is as an attendee,
And as a someone who-
very specific, if you're attending these cons.
I mean, it does, it's pretty, attendees, I've been on both sides of this, so I know, attendee,
Yeah.
have cash, not all vendors, I'm gonna be honest. like, most of us accept credit card nowadays. Some people, for some reason, are still gonna accept cash, or they're trying to commit tax fraud, I don't know. Don't do that,
Yes.
but I can't endorse that, but some people are still gonna do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I call this one personal safety because those of us who are a little older and we don't have our parents helping us out, like Sidney over here, I'm sure y'all are always taking precautions with Sidney because of her age and
Definitely.
because of what she's doing currently in her craft, right? So you always have to think about you're gonna be your best protection, so always make decisions. I liked what you had put on here about if you're going with a group, then be with your group, but if you're not, let somebody know that you're going. No matter if you're a teenager or if you're in your 20s, whatever, like let somebody know. It doesn't have to be a parent, just let somebody know or a friend. Do you have a story about that?
So I've been a teenager and I've been there alone. Like I said, some cons are pretty safe as a teenager if you're alone. That doesn't mean you should do that the first time. I mean, I've been very fortunate, but also like, especially if you're also doing stuff like an armor like this.
Yeah.
You're going to vending, you're like wearing a bunch of armor. Especially if you don't know anybody, have someone like with you who can help you, like if you get dehydrated or tired, can help you keep track of your stuff, help you strip out of your gear as quickly as you can if you're not used to that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
Especially
that's-
with all that you put on, yeah.
Yes, that's something to bear in mind too.
And here's something that I know we can all, be okay with is making new friends when you go to the cons, which I tend to do, like, cause I do like 1 or 2 a year, and that's how I met these wonderful people. That's how I met Sidney.
So you met me.
We love
That's how I met you. Hello,
That's awesome.
my friend. But it's like one of those things that you're gonna make a lot of memories. You're gonna meet a lot of celebrities probably. You're probably gonna stand in line for a really, really long time for an autograph. But you're also gonna make friends in line too. I've done that too, where you make friends in line.
You do.
Sydney, do you have any fun stories about meeting new friends at all of these Comicons that you've been going to? Did you have a friend that you met? Did you take any pictures with anybody? Yeah, who?
Remember E.T.?
Who?
She was
E.T.?
She was Gertie and E.T. They were in line together.
Oh my goodness, you got to take a picture with E.T. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So
And
talk about making new friends.
tell them when you met Wednesday Adams, the original.
No, yeah.
Ooh.
Tell us about it.
It was good.
And
Was
she
she
meets
taller
all
than you
kind of people
expected?
that wanna
Yeah.
take pictures with her. They think
Yeah.
she's awesome.
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
scared?
She's had a lot of celebrities hold her in,
Yeah, no.
I
photo ops
Yeah.
at
I
Comic-Con.
know, I've seen so many
Now-
photos.
now she's got a
So
little-
many we can't count
Taller,
anymore.
I
yeah.
know, and I love that, cause we always make new friends when we go out.
Always.
Yeah, we do.
And me, this is just, this is the adult version of when I'm driving, I always forget about parking. And sometimes you have to pay for parking, and like here at Granbury, we get the free parking, and then for vendors, we have to park across the street and all that good stuff. So I always think about anything I'm going to, I have to think about parking. And if we can touch on the cosplay thing here
Oh
too.
yeah, that's something, I do that a lot. Yeah, choose something, obviously, the rest of the team at that con. I mean, if you're doing an animation con, maybe you want to do something from your favorite anime. Like I said, I don't always do this, like, most of you probably know me as the character, the Rusty from Sports Rescue Reaper, who plays the steampunk plague doctor, who's a little psychotic. That's not always what I do. In fact, there's times where I don't always want to be doing this, because like I said, if I did this in the summer, I would die.
Yeah.
One reason I
It's
don't
still
do it.
100 degrees outside.
I made that mistake once, I'm not doing it again. No, that's not a
Choose
good
your
idea.
costume wise.
So,
yeah.
just keep that stuff in mind, that some costumes are better for certain times of year. Like, this is better for the colder months, for sure.
Yeah, and what I've noticed in Sydney's work is that it depends on the celebrities that y'all were
A lot
gonna
of
meet
times,
too,
yeah.
right, Sydney? Like you were making all different kinds of outfits for all different kinds of people. And do you have a favorite that you like doing? What outfit do you love doing the most?
She has a Friday 13th Crystal Lake counselor. It was just a t-shirt and shorts. It's super easy.
What about your favorite rock star? Who's that?
Ah, so if anybody hasn't seen those photos of
No,
Lil
no.
Scream Queen as Alice Cooper,
Yeah, no.
I was
She's a
like,
little
that was
creepy.
some solid makeup there,
Yeah, I know.
Sydney.
We went to the
She
concert
has more
the other
attitude on
day.
film than she
Uh-huh.
does in person.
Yeah, I love that, and that's something about that, obviously you can cosplay anywhere you go. Whatever event you're going to, Sydney's a perfect example
Yeah,
of cosplay to your favorite band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would not go do that at the Blue Man Group, it's too much of a commitment.
Move
but,
on,
you know,
yeah. It might work.
But, what I tend to do now these days is I just do anything Weird Barbie and I mesh Weird Barbie with it. So Beetlejuice Weird Barbie today, and then Wednesday Adams Barbie tomorrow, which will be great.
Yeah, I like your crow from Frightmare a couple years ago.
Oh,
The
yeah.
crow,
I would
Yes.
also
Awesome.
say, like, if you have like a really intense cosplay like this, but you wanna have, but you don't wanna be in normal clothes the rest of the con, but you only enjoy this one day, plan for outfit changes.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I definitely have done that for other cons.
I thought that on the way over here too. I was like, what if I get tired of this big poofy thing and I just wanna wear something else?
And also my costume design where I can't take off the coat and this mask and some of the stuff, so it's still looking
Yeah.
pretty dapper.
Yeah, and so, you know, and this is another one too, the same thing with like taking breaks, cause if you're at something like Fan Expo, you're walking for miles, it feels
Miles.
like, and then you're standing in line. I've seen people just like sprawl out on the floor in the food court.
That's
It's like
us.
one of the best
Yes.
places to do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We're all finding a corner,
Yeah, a
if
little
we can't find a
nook.
corner, the nearest. to the
yeah, and
wall.
I usually run back to my artist table and I'm like, oh, it's a chair, it's a crappy chair, but I'm gonna sit.
You're lucky you got a chair at all.
I know, exactly.
Well, and we'll get to a tangent on there as
Yeah.
something I can add, that's something I can add.
I need to
get
Yeah. those
A
little
bit later,
stools.
But, yeah, definitely take breaks, cause like I said, if you need to make a lot of time for meals, make sure to know what panels you get to, cause like at bigger ones, like there's gonna be
If
a
there's
lot.
a big set schedule, like, you know, it's spooky, we've got these great little, things spread out today. And at Fan Expo, it's like overwhelmingly huge or something that big like that, like New York Comic-Con, I can't even.
No.
Acon's also a little
San
longer.
Diego.
Acon.
Yeah, Acon's got similar stuff too.
And this is something that, you know, maybe I've thought about it, I've just never done it. Like if you're getting something autographed or if you're like bringing a piece of art for somebody to sign, make sure you have some kind of way to protect it before you even go. Because like they're gonna sell you stuff on site, but you might as well just get you a nice
Yeah.
cardboard
Oh, I love that.
something. Well, I had gotten something at the last minute. I'm gonna do a presentation tomorrow on my photography, so if y'all are gonna be here, I'll for to show you that. But Vincent D'Onofrio signed my little 5x7 piece of art that I made from the cell, and I fangirled pretty hard. But I had to have some way to protect it just so I knew where it was and it wouldn't get lost in all the other things as a vendor, because I have so many things I'm packing. But as an attendee, it's the same thing. You're probably gonna end up carrying a giant bag of things. I've seen people with the wagons and the strollers and all the things, right?
We hate those people because they're in the lines and
It's
yeah.
like one of those big expandable
Yeah.
wagons.
We're
Yep.
used to whacking people with our backpacks.
Yeah, we don't hate it, but no.
Yes.
In a
The
tight.
folder,
But it's
actually, I
better
love
than
this
running
idea.
over the foot.
Yeah.
I love this idea because like sometimes they'll give you like some cardboard sandwich in between and that's it.
Yeah.
A folder's much better. That's actually, because I
Yeah,
just always did.
something to keep it together, you know,
Yeah.
and especially with Sydney, how many photos have you taken?
Oh my
That you
gosh.
take home, like, do you know how many? Is it a lot? What's the last one that you did? Do you remember the last photo that you did
Oh,
with
that's a good
somebody?
question.
That had a print?
Done a photo op at Comicon.
What was the last one?
Was it
Probably
GeekCon?
GeekCon. It was, but yeah, it was like the D Wallace and Henry Thomas and me too.
Oh yeah,
probably.
we did the ET.
And
Yeah, y'all pretty much have your own gallery at
yeah,
this
oh, you see our
point.
house. It's like a museum.
Yeah,
like a pop
I
culture
love it.
museum. Yeah.
I love it, and yeah, that's super cool. As a vendor, we're gonna stray to the vendor side for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
I am watching time just so we can have interaction, whatever we want.
This is the side
This
of.
is something that he put up that I thought was great.
Well, I mean, you're on the side a little bit of it, but I'm on the
Yeah.
side, I've been on the side
That's
for a
like
while.
your ideas and then my ideas together were like perfect.
Yeah, well, like, as a vendor, this is a little different because being a vendor, you graduated from an attendee, you might have been an attendee first, and I thought, I wanna sell stuff here, I wanna make some money, I wanna also enjoy this a bit more.
Yeah, it's a different realm. Once
It
you
is a
step into
very
being a
different
vendor.
realm, and you get to see parts of the show that some of the attendees don't. Such as Rama, which you will see. Those stories we'll go into later. Apply early. These applications can be very far in advance. I actually made the decision to come here last minute. I didn't know what was going on this year because of my
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah.
That's why I'm upstairs, not downstairs.
Yeah.
That can make a big difference in your placement. It can also make a difference whether you get in at all. I just learned from another con I'm trying to attend December as an artist. I had been waitlisted. So, even though I applied early, that's another thing too. Apply
Yeah.
early, get so you can pick your plans.
And-
Product and service.
Yeah, products and service, you know.
Have your merchandise ready. I've been guilty of not doing this. When you're doing this, you're a vendor, you've gotta make your money back. It's a lot more expensive to come here as a vendor than an attendee.
Yeah, you're right.
No, your fee's bigger, your entry fee's bigger, I mean, you make it.
And your time.
Your time is much bigger commitment, cause you're the whole time, you're here before the show,
Jake and them coming.
you're here after the show.
Jake and them coming.
And you're here, you're committed the whole time. In fact, sometimes in the contract, the application contract is required to be here before and after.
And
You're not enjoying the show, you are part of the show.
And for me, being mostly also a service provider, I'm like, well, I can't just show up as a service because there's no guarantee somebody wants my service. So I started letting my art take over the table as well. So now I do have products that I work on, and I still do the photography at the same time. I want to do it all because I just love it. I love expression. Sidney, how about you? Like, I know that you have a really nice table downstairs, right? Did you have any help loading that in this afternoon? Did you help
tried.
load it in?
She did, yeah.
Did you help decorate?
She's
That's
more,
awesome.
she was more
She's
important
good.
about her candy selection. She was
Well,
today.
you
She
know.
moves some things
Oh.
around the
Yeah.
way she
Important.
likes.
Yes, you
Important
know,
stuff.
and Sidney, that's a really good thing that as you do tables more and more, you're gonna wanna decorate it on your own, and that's awesome. Just gonna let you know that. It's a lot of fun, just like cosplay, you're decorating your table.
And I wanted to segue into that, like I said, in the beginning, when you're smaller, we're doing smaller conventions, you might be able to do one-man it. When you do bigger ones, for those who still want to man that, good luck. Best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm lucky I can one-man this show. I've actually got someone helping me out run my booth while I'm doing this, so.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, and as we're kinda going into, this is very similar to the universal tip, is having vendor connections, which, you know, obviously we had a connection, and we also had B Charlotte last year, and just making friends with other vendors, and then y'all get to do fun projects together, like we're doing
Yes.
today, like
Yeah,
this is super
exactly.
fun, we're having fun doing this.
yes, we did, yeah, because we met 2021.
Oh my gosh,
I think
it
that's
feels
what it
like
was.
forever ago though.
Yeah, it feels like forever ago, well, COVID.
Yeah.
Pretty fortunate time. But yeah, like, and she's not the only person I've met. I've met a lot of other people besides
Yeah.
just Jen doing this. I also, has anyone been by Fox Love and Associates? Yeah, anybody?
I guess so.
No.
Downstairs, they led me to, they've also been very helpful to me. They've led me to some other events too. Like, that was one of the connections that helped me find Steampunk November, which is one of my favorite shows I do.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome, cause like, you know, and like talking to people, you're gauging on, is there other events I could be a part of, is there other ways to get out in the community?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
and then I kinda did, this is we'll go through this really quickly, I don't wanna bore everybody, but just so you know what we go through as vendors.
Stop worrying.
Okay, so I'm speaking to the crowd here. Loading in, okay. If you've done a big con, and I love Fan Expo,
Ooh, bless.
but that loading dock, is something else, and like you have to like, if you're in Artist Alley, you've gotta like get there at 7 in the morning to load in on a Friday, and then it starts Friday. So you're there from, if you wanna load in early, from 7 a.m. till after 9 p.m. because it's from like 2 to 9 p.m. So my thing has always been like, you might as well just wake up early and get it done, whatever you're doing. For Fan Expo, I get a 6-foot table, no Wi-Fi, no electricity. Here, we're very spoiled. We get Wi-Fi, electricity, and 10 by 10. Like, wow,
Yeah.
it's so much space. So that's another reason why I like coming back to this one, because it gives me a nice way to expand and grow myself as an artist, not just, you know, stay like this, like you're like this at Fan Expo. But yeah, the loading in can be really tedious if you don't have help, and so like having dollies, sometimes the vendors will loan you their dollies or their, you know, the everything.
That comes back to make friends with vendors.
Yeah, cause we all end up helping each other on those loading docks.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like, you will help, like, when you are setting up your booths. You're in, like.
And if something falls, there was several things that fell yesterday during the setup, and somebody fell, and also stuff fell, and we're just like all scrambling to like, are you okay? You know, and just making sure everything wasn't broken, or the person wasn't broken, and it was just, you know, it's like, it can be a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I also like putting bring work clothes, because as we know, we're not gonna load our booths looking like this. 'Cause
No.
It's really hot. And Sidney, when did you get ready today for your booth? Did you get ready as soon as you got here, or did you come ready in your outfit? She got ready here, and I
Yeah.
saw her hair getting done before the panel too, so that's another thing, like being ready, no matter what look you have going on, you were getting your hair done, you were ready to go. And then some of us who have the work clothes, we change into our outfits later, and we do our makeup later, we do our hair later. And for you, I saw you assembling your arm, you know?
Yeah, mine's a little different, like, 'cause I've designed my clothes where I come in layers, so I kinda have it just
Yeah, you
pants
have
and
a
shirt.
system.
Have a system of some sort if you're not, work clothes are great, like, there's some things where work clothes are the way to go. There's some other ways where sometimes you gotta be able to get into your, where you gotta have the layers
Yeah,
on.
you may run out of time.
Yeah, cause I can tell you right now, that's how I do it generally, because I do run out of time.
Now, I was gonna say, expenses are the usual things when you're thinking about doing anything, whether you're a vendor or an attendee. You're thinking about a budget, which I'm not a budget person, but like you have to think about what you're spending on parking, what you're spending on accommodations, what you're spending on a table, and anything you've bought for your table, cause, I don't know if anybody else likes to Amazon things at the last minute. I tend to do that.
Guilty.
So, raise your hand if you've Amazon something at the last minute.
Guilty.
No, the thing about it is though, like any con that you're going to, you're gonna get inspired by other people, right? So we've got Sidney, who's probably inspiring many other young children to go dress up. I'm just, I'm almost 50 years old doing whatever the heck I want. I'll inspire who I want. And then we've got you who builds, like, I don't know if y'all realize he does this himself.
It's all.
He makes it.
Yeah, it's,
And
all the
if
stuff on
you've
my
seen his
table, I'm making
table,
myself.
Like that's what's impressive about when I bring him up here. It's not because he's wearing a costume, it's because he's put his hands into it. And I think that's really
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Great
it's,
job.
It's like, it is definitely, that's the big appeal for
If
me.
you look at if you get in really tight on this detail work, you can nerd out about that later, but yeah, so the expenses, including costumes.
Including building your costumes as well, I mean, I'll tell you, the two biggest, the top three fees, I think your biggest expenses you're gonna have, your booth, your hotel room, and your costume, especially if you make it yourself.
Yeah,
That'll get
it's
expensive
true.
real fast.
And if you wanna be like, the alien queen, I saw a video of this lady who's putting on this alien queen, I was like, that's commitment, and all I could think about how much it costs to do all these tentacles and a giant head, and I'm like, wow!
It's
That's
also the time
amazing.
investment too.
Time investment, all of the things. And this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about getting waitlisted. Rejection is a part of life. You're gonna get rejected for many different things. You're gonna get waitlisted.
I did get waitlisted. I
Especially
learned
if
that
you
this
really
morning.
wanna go to a con and be a vendor and they just will never let you in because Frightmare's a good example, like, you can't get in there unless somebody like really leaves.
Yeah.
Like the vendor's there. But what you can do, if you are a vendor that's interested in just networking and just getting immersed into the community, then you just go as an attendee and enjoy it. It's much less of a time commitment.
It's also cool if you also have other vendors, friends who need help.
Yes,
Those guys
yes.
love that.
We all need assistance at some point.
And friends who are willing to volunteer their time to help you run your booth, I can tell you, they're worth their weight in gold. That is not hyperbole.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, I got one downstairs helping me right now. It's wonderful. It's always good to have backups of plans. And Sidney, as you know, when you start working your table downstairs, you're gonna start talking to people, taking photos with people, and then you're gonna be like, "Thank you, Mom and Dad, for helping me."
Yeah, my father's helped me run my booth while I'm here right now, so.
Yeah.
Yes, so my father chooses to do there. Thank you, Dad.
So, I was trying to think of another question regarding getting to, let's see, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think anybody would reject her. They would take her in, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, they take her in. No,
Yeah,
no
but-
questions asked.
Yeah, like I said, there's some, like I said, that's just sometimes the way of life, the rejection does happen. Like, I know, like, Renaissance fairs, like, sometimes they've got all the people who, some stuff I do, they've got a lot of people who do stuff I do already.
Yeah.
Even though my stuff's unique, they're still like, yeah, we don't work.
And the last point is really the same thing over and over again, making those vendor relationships. Like even downstairs for everybody I've invited to do a panel, I'm like, well, they have to leave their table. That could potentially be a sale that they don't make. That could be a connection they miss because I've asked them to do a project or something. But if you have that assistant and you have maybe even your booth mate. My booth mate at Fan Expo was fantastic. We booth mated for each other and we're just like, I'm gonna leave, I've gotta go to the bathroom, but you know at Fan Expo it's gonna take you 30 minutes there and back because it's a really long walk.
And booth buddies also, yeah, having just a buddy.
Having a booth buddy that isn't necessarily your assistant but is really, really nice to help you out. 30 too. I try to leave enough room for anything that's mixed, anything like if we have questions for Sidney, if we have questions for anybody, or any comments on what you guys do to prepare to come to events, or if you've been to any big events that really.
This is our first one.
First one ever?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, so we totally gave you the information.
No, hey, this is exactly what this is for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, see, this one is it's the
First
perfect
one.
size
Yeah.
for those of us who get overwhelmed with 50,000 people.
Good for ours.
Yeah, this really is something I keep
With
coming
our
back
car.
to. I mean,
Yeah.
not only is this the first one where I really got to be a vendor at bigger events, because I was right after COVID, and
Yeah.
life had changed me very drastically.
You wear a mask.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's another thing too, like when I was cosplaying in masks, I was like, nobody can see my hair, nobody knows what I look, they can't see I'm smiling ear to ear. And I went as when Destiny, the video game, came out in the beginning. Do you remember Destiny?
Oh yeah, we remember.
Okay, so I was wearing the Apotheosis veil. So you know what I'm talking about. I had this beautiful mask that I made, and I walked around and everybody thought I was the dude from G.I. Joe.
Ah, there you go.
And I was like,
guys.
I am not the dude from G.I. Joe. I'm from, I'm wearing the Apotheosis veil. I'm a warlock, da da da. And I was very proud of that helmet, but nobody could see it was
G.I.
me.
Joe.
And I was like, crap.
I will say there are advantages, like especially if you're doing social media where you want people, if you don't want people to know your face right away,
Yeah.
especially also if you work a day job,
Yeah.
where your
Yeah.
employer might not like what you're doing. It's like, yeah.
And
there's no reason like this.
I went 1 year as a pyramid head too to Fan Expo. I think it was 2015, but God, that was a long time ago. And I had a table there, artist alley table as pyramid head, and I was like, nobody can see me. They have no idea what I look like.
I mean, that's
But-
the way it's going to take it off.
Yeah, it was so great.
I mean, I know I
because-
say that, and I'm not doing it right now.
No, the fact that you've done this whole panel.
I just suddenly decided, well, this is what I'm doing today.
This is what we're doing. So, any other questions or comments from,
I was gonna, one thing that happened to us, parking. One time we were at a event, it was Walker Stalker, but it was at K. Bailey Hutchinson.
Oh Lord.
And someone had a vest on, like, oh yeah, it's free.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We ended up getting booted. And like, there was a bunch of us that got boots, and
Yeah,
we had to like pay for it right then and there, and which was hard because we were just been at a Comic-Con all day. So we didn't, you know.
Yeah, and the thing
Yeah,
is,
it's just someone.
Nothing's free.
Just
Yeah, it
because
was just-
someone's in a booth doesn't mean
Yeah,
they're really
and
here
it
to
turned out that
take
those
your
boot
money.
people were, I guess they had like this little scam going on or something.
Anything
Yeah, they would
with the
put
big
a-
city.
a
Yeah,
knockout
no-
there.
Nothing like that's
Yeah.
free usually at a
one of the
bigger.
reasons why I kind of stick to like the smaller cons is because generally speaking, if there's a scam going on,
Yeah.
staff crack down on that pretty quick.
Right. It was
Even
we
with
got
the
there
best-
late.
Even with the best staff, like, people will do some really good stuff. So it's another good thing is a tip I did not add.
No.
Know the people who manage it if you can.
Right.
Like, especially if it's something like this, like, know who manages it. Just know people who are like in management, who are running things. Because, especially if something like that comes up, you can call and say, hey, is this legit?
Yeah, it was a whole.
And they go, no, that's not legit. Where are they? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, this stuff happens, so.
They made
be
several hundred
aware.
euros off of people. that
Well,
did it.
and I wanna hear from you guys with, with Sidney and all of these things that y'all put together attending just Frightmare alone.
Uh-huh.
Like, how did y'all navigate the time? Because you had photo ops, standing in line, and changing clothes. How in the world did you do that, Sidney?
Pack a big bag, hope for the best, and run. and
Luckily
have
they-
a
Did y'all
shirt
drag
on.
a suitcase with
We
you
had
or a
two big
backpack?
backpacks, and we're annoying to people because we're knocking them all over. We got boots and different. And
Oh.
luckily,
And you
they
complained about
yeah.
the baby strollers?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
right?
okay.
No, we
I
do
just wanted
that.
to- I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify.
But that's coming from like old Frightmare where it was at the
Backpacks,
Hyatt,
baby
you know, it was so
strollers.
You had-
so
yeah.
tight. But the way they got Frightmare now, it's upstairs. It's a little bit more area to kind of hang out. So we just kind of hang out in the photo op area. You know, we'll do what we want to do downstairs. But once we're in the photo ops, we're just there. We change and we just kind of hang out till our time's ready.
Yeah, cause I guess what I'm saying is I'm very impressed on what y'all pull off.
Sometimes they're like.
All of your photo ops. You all
Like
have
they're
something
changing
different.
clothes so fast. Like the last one, they were like 30 minutes apart, and it was a smaller con, so there was no like, okay, we'll just get in and get in the line towards the end. There was like 10 people in line for the photo op, so it was
Oh my God.
pretty
And
quick.
conscious
Yeah.
creation, trying to learn how to breathe and calm down and not be so overstressed, cause we get
We do.
over sensory going to those
It
big
does get
events
stressful,
sometimes.
Bigger
It's
ones,
Like,
that's another good
step
point,
back and
is
breathe
those
for a
bigger
minute.
ones, if you are very sensory, I'm one of those, I'm like, if there's too many people, I can't see. Like, I literally, like, I'm over here, I probably won't see you. Like, I literally, it's like if my daughter's screaming, every sense turns
Yeah,
off, and I'm like, I
awesome.
can't figure out what to do with myself.
Mhm.
But at Fan Expo, I know exactly where the bathroom is, and I go right there, and I come right back to my booth.
Right.
Or if I find a friend of mine who happens to be there as an artist,
There you
because
go.
there's so many different artists. But yeah, if you're going to a big
What
con
is
with
it?
thousands and thousands of
Finish
people,
the panel here
you need to
today.
know yourself enough to know, like, if it's too much, I swear I'm gonna get adult headphones one day, because it's just like, too much. But it's still fun to go to the big events, just to throw yourself in there and see how you do.
Yeah.
Maybe
So-
start on a
It's
Sunday
still
though.
fun, yeah.
It's still fun, you
Yeah.
just gotta be okay with a little bit of people swimming.
Right.
Just or you go on a Sunday,
Yeah, I was about
where
to
it
say
tends to
Sunday.
be the
It's a
lighter
little bit
day.
lighter.
I can't always say Friday because sometimes
But
I have
Fridays
more
have
stuff
gotten
going on
crazy,
Friday,
yeah.
right? So welcome to our newcomers. We were just talking about
Start all over again.
events. do y'all attend a lot of big, small, medium-sized events or cons or anything?
We're kinda getting into it, yeah.
Getting into it? Yeah, we were just
Perfect.
discussing the difference between, say, Spooky Spectacle versus Fan Expo, which is like 50,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
Or ACON too, which is also.
ACON.
Yeah,
Maybe
and there's
check
still
that
some
out
I
there
haven't gone
someday.
to yet, that I'm just like, I have this gauge of the spectrums of all the different kinds of people that go to these things.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, like I said, ACON, I think it's a big one to go to first one, but like, it's also not, if you're going to a big one for your first time, they are everyone's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I can't say that for everyone, but too.
Yeah.
That was one I went to as a
Stephanie
teenager.
Seabury or whatever.
I didn't know
She was like
story
Stephanie
later.
Seabury or
Yeah.
whatever.
15, went there alone.
Oh,
whatever her
yeah.
name is.
If this had been any other con, I would have probably never done this again, but ACON, they were really kind to you. I mean, very, very polite, very kind, and they get it. I mean, so it's a pretty,
Yeah, and
that's like the exception to the rule.
I was gonna say, if you're very introverted and you wanna go to these things, it's almost like a walking duality of like, I wanna be here, but I really don't wanna people.
And a lot of
And
them-
it's really, you kinda have to make an intentional decision to like go.
And like I said, and people get it, I mean, people are very helpful there. I mean, especially people who've done this multiple times, like, I'll be honest, like, I carry a first aid kit with me. I mean, that's
another thing we haven't covered, is that at cons,
Yeah.
there's sometimes these emergency, costume repair people.
Yes.
That are super nice. Like if you're in costume and they're walking around with their sign that says, cosplay repair, there's some really nice people out
And a
there
lot
that'll
of
do
them
that.
are like, they're not being paid, they're volunteers.
Yeah.
They do it
They
because.
just have everything you could think of, and sometimes cons are nice enough to actually have a room where you can repair
Well,
yourself.
yeah.
If you have a problem.
Yeah, that is true, like, there's a couple of big ones, like, and they do it, like, they're not doing this for money, they're doing it because they like being helpful, I mean, they're really, it's amazing.
And I would imagine that Spooky, if we have enough creative people here, if you had a problem, we could probably have a solution.
Yeah, I wish I had that kind of kit with me. I bring a mini one like that, the bigger ones.
Yeah.
This one, not so much. I have just a first aid kit for with them, just more conventional stuff like
Yeah.
that. But that's a different story entirely.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Sidney while we have the Lil Scream Queen up here? Like, how do you handle events, Sidney? Is it fun for you, or is it overwhelming? Are you a people person? She like being around with people a lot?
She makes little friends in line all the time. If there's a kid around, they end up playing.
I love
Oh, that's fun. That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, definitely likes the smaller ones, just being at fan days or something like that all day long. And sometimes we just do the day pass and we'll have 6, I think the most we've had like 7, 8 photo ops in one day, which gets pricey
That's
and
when it gets overwhelming, but then
Yeah.
we're just like, we're pacing ourselves. We're
Yeah.
wearing our undershirts and
Yeah.
we're trying to hurry up and.
we started just putting like tank tops and like boxers on and we're just changing them, We're out there in the middle of the aisle somewhere, like, okay, here we are.
Well, if you have any other questions or comments or thoughts, we're here for you. If you have any ideas, questions, thoughts, we are welcome to come see us down at our tables.
Yeah, come on to the table. We'll talk to you about it.
If you're interested in any future cons that are in there, I see you got Cabin Fever, if you like the horror ones, we can lead you down
Yeah,
there.
and I'm fairly sure that, there's a lot more, professional con-goers that know more than I do. I'm just like, I feel like I'm still such a baby, but.
And they're every week, I mean, not every weekend per se, but there's a lot of events, almost, every weekend, monthly.
Yeah,
so
and I'm
just-
still learning, like, what can I go to? And now they have y'all seen Space Con in San Antonio?
Yeah,
I'm
that's a big
freaking out
lineup,
because I would
yeah.
love to go.
We
But
did
the
the-
timing is so weird, it's like basically almost Halloween weekend.
Right, yeah,
And
that's
I was
the
gonna
best.
say, my inspiration for this, going to ACON, they have something very similar to this, tailored more so to ACON. I wanted to do something more general for any other cons, because that I know is such a big thing here with this. Like, cause a lot of us, this is probably, like I said, some of us probably gonna wanna go to some bigger ones eventually. And this,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a fun one, don't get me wrong, but we like to do more than just this. I mean, it's the fun. Granbury does not have much more stuff, spooky stuff like this. It's probably one of the very few things to know of.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I like I really like the size of this one, it's like, you know, a very
Not-
chill,
Yep.
it's not overwhelming.
Get your feet
That's
wet,
awesome.
kinda con.
I took way too long to set up my booth yesterday, I was just having way too much fun just being creative and
It was,
thinking.
Spooky Spectacle was one of our first, I mean, it was called the Paranormal Expo or
Yeah,
something back
Yeah, so
then.
that was a long time ago,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that was before I came along.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
We were doing Comicons and he's like, there's this Paranormal Expo and I know you love that stuff.
Yeah,
And
so
we've
we
been
went up
friends with
here.
Randy ever since.
aww,
Yeah,
I love
Brent-
that.
Yeah, I used to live here for a while, so I knew.
And I knew nothing about nothing, and I don't know how I found this, but it was really great.
She had, the girl from Night of the Demons here, I'm like, why does it, I mean, that's a B, horror slasher type movie, I'm like, why would the lady from Night of the Demons be in Granbury, let's go check it out. And 10 years later almost, here we still are.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? I just wanna thank everybody for hanging out with us today.
Alright, cool.
This was just a really cool, like, chill, you know, tomorrow I'll be talking about my art and how I make it out of movie locations as well as movie characters.
Cool.
And I have 51 slides and they're fantastic, so if you wanna come back and see that, I'd love to have you. So I wanna take a group photo with Miss Sidney though, because I feel like this being your very first, I hope very first.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Very first little panel with us.
You wanna come stand
Sidney.
up and take a picture?
You want
What's-
I put it back to the title so we have proof that you were here.
What's funny was me and her were in here, when y'all did the cosplaying panel last year with Charlotte.
Yeah.
And she was in here, we asked questions about cosplaying with y'all and things.
You look so cute.
And now Charlotte, you know, was, the judge during her one cosplay win at Retro Expo. So it's kind of a full circle thing. Look at the camera, look at Tiffany.
Look over here, Tiff.
And Sydney, next time, don't talk so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sidney, you're too loud.
Can you
Yeah.
look over here? 1, 2, 3, okay.
And if you guys have any more questions, they got, Jen's downstairs, Weirdo Weddings is downstairs, and then
Oh,
Rusty's
okay.
right
Right
up
here
there.
outside the door.
And, Lil Scream Queen's
in the
down there
lobby.
too. Yeah, look for
Right by
the,
the door.
Yeah,
Right by the
right,
door.
right next to,
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hey,
Captain
we hit our
Achilles.
mark, we hit
Yeah.
11:45, that was close.
Excellent.
Woo!
Yay,
Yeah,
yay.
yeah. Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, they gotta come.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, appreciate it, thanks for coming.
Yes, I am so happy.
I know, this is okay. Now I'm going to, because the camera's, okay, the camera's still on me, but who cares? I'm like,
Yeah, it's hard.
I, like I said,